Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. It is Season 1, it is Chapter 1, it is called October Country. So, full spoilers. Well, actually, not full spoilers, it's Episode 1, meaning we start spoiler free. I always make this mistake, because most episodes we just go full spoilers.
Yeah.
But if it's Episode 1, we'll start off spoiler free, we'll give you a warning in the middle before we go into spoilers, and we can give you a sense of quality before we start.
And just to critique your intro going forward, I actually didn't pay attention, so maybe you actually got this right. It's part 1, not Season 1.
Part 1? What do you mean?
Yeah, that's what Netflix is. It's just called Part 1 on Netflix.
So we're going to talk about Sabrina, and did you watch the original show?
An episode here or there, not properly.
Yeah, I saw quite a bit of the original show when I was growing up, and you know this is more based, of course, on the more recent comics, to the point where the opening title sequence actually has art that looks like it's right out of the opening out of the comic. The ending specifically is the cover, I think, of one of the issues.
Cool. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna skip those opening credits every time now. They were fine, but
Sure.
they went on for so long. It was like 1:45, and by the end of it, I was like, "All right, I'm done now."
All right, I love how you're straight into the negativity. We can't even get to the show proper yet.
I have positives, but the opening credits, I was like, it didn't set me off in the right place. I was like, I'm there waiting just to get on with the show at that point.
I think the problem is that there wasn't any scenes before the opening titles, so it started you off in those.
Yeah, that probably is the
You
problem.
didn't get a teaser and then the opening titles. You went straight into the opening titles. But no, so this is more based on the newer comic. It's a bit more aged up in the sense that we're going to be dealing with actual horror elements and actual demonic forces, and not just, you know, because in the show it was very sitcom, it was very light-hearted. Sure, they talked about repercussions that might happen from the council and things like that, but it was never that much of a big deal. You know, it was sitcom levels. Whereas this is going for more of an actual sort of teen supernatural show mixed in with, you know, your high school Sabrina antics. And it's kind of mixing all those things in. And it is violent. There's one moment of violence in this that is definitely not, like, say, just to compare it to, like, Riverdale, which is the CW show right now. The violence in this would not have been okay on Riverdale.
Yeah, and I mean, given the history of the production of this show is notable, because this was meant to be originally a companion show to that on the CW.
Yeah, I'm not convinced it was ever actually going to cross over with it.
No, I don't think it was going to cross over, but companion in the sense that they probably would have aired them on the same night.
Sure, yeah, but certainly they were wanting to go a bit deeper and bit darker with the show, and that's maybe why it ended up at Netflix. And it got 2 seasons, by the way, when it was greenlit. So
I did it. I'd forgotten about that.
So season 2's already confirmed, but so we have Sabrina. It's almost her 16th birthday. That's always been kind of the start of the story with Sabrina. Just from the old show and the old TV movie. That's all. It always starts there. It's her 16th birthday, and it's going to be the dark baptism. Is that what they called it? Yeah. And this is her, like, sort of giving herself over to her father's side, which is the witch side, because she's half human, half witch. And this is going to be her giving up her entire normal life, saying goodbye to all of her mortal friends in high school, and going to the witch school. I can't remember the name of it now. Now I'm thinking about it. The Academy of the...
I don't know.
It wasn't Dark Arts, because that's too obvious.
No, because that was the first that came to mind.
No, it was like Academy of Unseen Arts or something like that.
Yeah, something or other.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll mention it 500 million times before the end of the season.
For now, we'll just call it the Academy.
Yes. So she's feeling iffy about that. She's feeling conflicted about giving up her life, her boyfriend Harvey, and everything else, and her friends. And the show starts with a sort of a tone setter where they're at the movies watching Night of the Living Dead, and they're even debating it afterwards, which amused me because me and Tim watched that for Screams last year and had not the exact same conversation because neither of us was debating that there wasn't any subtext, but. Like having them talk about the subtext and having Harvey just been like, "What are we talking about? The zombies eating people."
Yeah, you dumb shit.
Yeah. But so that's set up, and obviously, I always mention this whenever this pops up. But Night of the Living Dead is public domain. Now, obviously, Warner Brothers making this show, they can afford to get licenses for whatever they want to show. So I'm sure this was just a creative choice, but still. A lot of low-budget movies will put in Night of the Living Dead on TVs and stuff because they can do it for free.
Because you can, yeah.
They don't have to pay for it. It's like a really recognisable, famous movie, but you don't have to pay for it, and that's the beauty of it.
Everyone wins.
So, but then it's set up with that. I guess you get your tone going out. There's brown leaves everywhere. It's a Halloween. Because her birthday's on Halloween. They mentioned that.
Yeah.
And it sets kind of the tone. Her family lives in a mortuary, a funeral home, and so it's really setting the scene for the whole thing, the mood, the atmosphere. But it is very pulpy. It's a very pulpy take in the show as well, with very pulpy teen sort of plot lines, very pulpy characters. The way Sabrina, turns on the radio when she gets home and starts dancing to the music, it's very pulpy. So it's kind of mixing this darker tone with the actual dark magic stuff with her other life which is going on. So as well, it's darker than the old Sabrina show. It's not necessarily completely stripping it away and just making it a dark horror thing either.
Yeah.
It's sort of in between two worlds, which could be cool if it can balance that, if it can juggle that, and we'll see. But so I'll ask the question: did you enjoy episode 1 of Sabrina?
I enjoyed half of it.
Okay, so I'm going to assume that it was either the school half or the magic half you didn't like.
Yes, that's how.
As opposed to the runtime being like, I like the first half, but then the second half went off the rails.
No, you're correct. I really like all the horror and the magic and the witch stuff, all the teenage high school stuff. Not working for me yet.
Now, to be fair, you say half, but I think that was actually lesser in terms of runtime.
It probably was.
Unless you're counting all the stuff with Harvey, but I don't know if I would, because that was.
I would count some of it.
Because I was kind of varying between, because she was kind of on her own with them. She was trying to bring up the fact that she was leaving and whatnot. No, I enjoyed the first episode. It's got. I like the music for a start. And I'm not even talking about the source music. I'm talking about the score. There was some nice little bits of score here or there, I thought, that was kind of helping set the mood. I liked, from a technical standpoint, that it's in 2.35 to 1, the aspect ratio.
I'll be honest, my internet connection's a bit shit. I can't see the timer to see how far in we are. I was going to say, give it a little clock of. It only took that long for you to mention. I think that's 7 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah, something with that range. So yeah, I like that it's the wider aspect ratio. Although I do have a criticism here in terms of the visuals. Technically, there's this effect they've got going.
Oh, is it the focus depth of field?
Yeah, they've got.
Really hate it.
They've got this focus thing going. It's almost like a fisheye effect at certain points. And you can achieve this with some lenses, but I'm not convinced this is a lens thing. Although, that said, it wasn't always there, which almost makes it feel like it was a lens thing, and sometimes they were using different lenses. But
yeah, like sometimes it was really prominent, like the scene where she's just trying to do a little spell, right? She's out in the woods, she's kneeling down, and we get this shot from below, looking up at her, and it's really crazy prominent. And there are other times where it's just kind of there at the periphery, which makes me feel like maybe it is an added effect with the way it's kind of really just as they want it. It
was almost like the more magical the moment or the scene was, the more the effect would be turned up. And
yeah,
it was kind of bugging me in some scenes. I'm not a big fan of like an artificial effect like that, because it felt artificial the way it was kind of.
It was even times it was there occasionally when she was just in the house.
Yeah.
And I could just see it, the sides of it. It wasn't as prominent there. It wasn't because there was a point where she didn't special. It's so just focused on her and that's it. When it was just in the house, it's just the edges that are affected by it. But it was enough to really distract me.
Yeah. And it's a shame because the show looks quite good when it's not doing that.
It does, yeah.
It looks good. The house looks good. All the settings look good. The forest when they're out looking at the trees and getting pumpkins and stuff. All of it looks quite good. But for some reason they've got this effect on some of the shots that I thought was really distracting. And it was fine the first couple of times because I thought it was just when there was like heavy magic use and it was just going to be like, there's magic in there, so everything's going kind of blurry. Like, fine. But then there was times where it was just like a conversation, and in fact there was one scene where it was a short reverse shot with our cousin character who's like trapped he's under house arrest, and he's much older than he looks. All the witches look really old, but they look young, and she's having a conversation with him, and it's a short reverse shot just back and forth, and his side didn't have the effect, but her side did. So every time it cut to him, it was like a complete clean frame, but when it cut back to her, the edges were all blurry, and it was really annoying.
It was really bugging me. It's honestly might be the thing I hate the most. And like it's so bad that I was there just every time it pops up. Now I'm gonna notice it
I love how
because
you
it's
phrase
been
that. You phrase it like you've got a list of things you hate. You're like, this is what I hate the
no,
most.
okay. I mean, like the least probably would have been fairer.
Yes, yes. I'm just trying to curb some of your absurd negativity because,
I have said nothing absurd as of yet.
it's just people coming to us for the first time. It's an episode 1. This may be the first time they see us talk about something. They're not used to you yet, and I feel like I need to try and soften the blow a little bit.
And I've said this before. I feel like I am the balance. You're being the optimistic one. I'll be a bit pessimistic. We'll even out somewhere in the middle.
A bit pessimistic. A bit.
Yeah, that might have been a touch optimistic of me.
So, so we have the horror elements. We have some things. We have Salem the cat. We'll get to the cat, but probably more in spoilers to talk about how the cat actually works and whatnot.
Yeah.
But we have all these characters, and we have the high school stuff where she has her friends. And the high school stuff, obviously she's torn between the two worlds, and it's the idea she's got this great group of friends that she goes to the movies with. She's got her boyfriend, and she cares about her friends enough that she tries to start this club in the first episode because one of her friends is bullied by the high school jocks.
Yes.
And it's very blunt about the point of the story is because her friend is trans and is being bullied because of that, and doesn't feel safe because of that. And she's trying to get this a women's club essentially formed to try and so they can support each other, support group.
Yeah.
And they think that the principal will shoot it down. The principal's a bit of a dickhead, and there's some plot there with that and some magic involved, and that's kind of part of the first episode. But some of it is like the way she's very militant and just sort of walks out of the principal's office and starts like shouting about her cause and all of that. It does feel very kind of I guess blunt's the word I'm looking for. Like there's no escalation to it. It's very just 0 to 60.
Yeah, it feels a little at odds for the teenage side of the show, where some of these characters feel so much older than they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe like that scene in particular. Like, do 15-year-olds go and march into the principal's office and demand things like that?
I don't think they do, no. I don't even think I knew what my principal looked like until I was in my last couple of years at school. That's not true. I probably saw her at assemblies, but still. But the point I'm making is that I don't think I was ever in a one-on-one conversation with the principal. Until I was at a point where I was doing things that was like, oh no, you need to talk to the principal. And I don't mean get into trouble. I was just involved with things where I was making videos and stuff, and I was doing projects with the skill. But that wasn't the only reason why I was in a room with the principal talking to her at some point. I was never in there for any other reason. So it's not like everyone has a one-on-one with a principal.
No,
it's not normal.
It struck me as strange to just do that.
I like it in the sense that it kind of shows you her character and that she's going to be like this, right? She's going to storm into the principal's office and she's going to try and do things like this. It sets up her personality quite well, so I can give that some props, even if it is a little bit blunt in your face with the way it's kind of presented. The relationship with Harvey's fine. It's very, very pulpy, despite the fact that it's set, I think, present day. It feels like it almost could be in the 50s, even though that's before Night of the Living Dead.
No, I caught something interesting about that in the sense of they were playing it very fast and loose with the year. Is they say for the birthday, it keeps coming up every so often, so it's Monday the 26th.
It just says this year.
This year. I'm like, okay, clever.
Although now I'm thinking about it, I don't think I saw any mobile phones at any point.
No, I don't think I did.
No. I think they're intentionally being vague with it.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah. So and then you also have Melissa Gomez's character, who is I mean, I don't know if it's much of a spoiler to say that she's not. We see her as just a teacher at first, but she's actually taken over by an evil entity. Quite early on,
like 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the thing is that now she's like this evil presence who's now sort of infiltrated the school because Sabrina's there, and that's kind of part of the ongoing plot as well. So that's kind of your basic setup at the start of the season, and Sabrina's conflict between choosing the magic world and giving everything up and wanting to be part human, and yeah, I mean, I think I like Shipka. Sabrina.
Yeah.
She's got charisma. She holds the scenes in a very kind of idealistic way, I'd say. She's got a very idealistic kind of persona about her, where she's always kind of peppy and is kind of hoping for the best. Which is I think partly why I think it feels like it's something that's meant to be set in the 50s or 60s. It feels like
it's not quite cynical enough to be present.
Yeah, but I think that's intentional. I think that's like kind of what they're going for, is that feel.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
But at the same time, they're tackling very modern day issues and the skills.
Like I say, I don't think they'll show us phones. I think it's like, well, they could have phones and we're just not seeing them. It's playing it like that. Like it could be this year, or it could be 65.
It can't be 65.
I just picked a year at random.
Night of the Living Dead came out in 1968, just for reference.
Literally just picked a year at random. The point was not to be, it's when that came out. The point was just...
Also, at one point in the car, there's a character listening to Bad Moon Rising. But I don't know if that was a much older song, but certainly I know that from American Werewolf in London, which was 1981.
Okay.
But that song might be older, though.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think, do you know what I will say does date it more presently.
Okay.
More than anything else that I can think of overtly is after they come out of the cinema and they're discussing the zombies, they're talking about fast zombies.
That's true, yeah. Yes, fast zombies are a modern invention. They mentioned that, that's right.
Yes, so, I mean...
That's post 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
At the very least. So I guess it is present day. It's playing with the tone and making it feel...
the feeling that it could be a different time.
Yeah, even though they've outright referenced something already that says that it's past that. Yeah. Okay. All right. And even the way they're talking about Night of the Living Dead, it feels very much they're talking about history. They're talking about the Cold War.
Classic, yeah.
They're talking about, when they're talking about the themes, they're like, it's about the Cold War, it's about this, it's about that. And I'm like, well, in that case, they're talking about history. They're not talking about present day stuff. They're not talking about, the Cold War's on right now. That's what it's about.
No, they're talking about the Cold War. The death of the nuclear family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the. So no, I like the horror stuff. Like I say, I think it mixes with the pulpiness of the show quite well so far.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not feeling like it's clashing. I'm feeling like it's kind of mixing in with her optimistic attitude and how she's probably going to end up changing the way things are done by the end of the season. Because I'm assuming she's not going to go through and leave her friends behind, because why would we spend so much time introducing them? But I can also see her still being allowed to be a witch in some capacity at the end.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So I think it's going to be very much about marrying those two things together, and she's going to be kind of striving for that throughout the season, but with more dangers in place and whatever else. And
yeah, I mean, the question then becomes do we spend a lot of time now before the dark baptism of the season?
Yeah, because obviously she wants to postpone it, and they're not very happy with that. But it looks like it's happening in episode 2, just from the image.
Right. Okay.
On Netflix when I finish this one.
This episode tracks through 3 days, maybe.
Yeah, and it's like the 26th to the 28th of October.
Yeah, it's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that.
So we're going through a reasonable speed, because obviously when it first came up saying Monday the 26th, I thought, it's going to be the whole week's the whole season.
I thought that as well. Yeah. I thought, okay, each day is going to be an episode.
But then we went through 2 more days, and I was like, okay, we're going much faster there. Fair enough. So episode 2 or 3 is where we're at least going to try and do it. Maybe they'll postpone it for a reason after they try it, but
that's where the 31st should fall.
Yeah. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic. All the episodes are about an hour long, which does seem a bit excessive for a show like this. But I mean, I didn't feel it in this one, at least.
No, but to be fair, we rarely feel that in the first episode.
That's true, because we're getting introduced to so much, so many characters, so many ideas. I do like most of the characters though. Like her cousin's kind of cool.
Yeah.
When she goes to him for help, Harvey seems all right. Her friends are all right. I think, obviously, I dig Salem because the cat's the best part always.
I will say, prepare for less cat than you hope, because I think I read that she's allergic to cats.
No. I read this story. She was allergic to one of the 3 cats they used
Oh,
for
was it one of
filming.
the 3 cats? Okay.
Yes, she wasn't allergic to cats in general. She was allergic to one of the cats that they used.
Must be like a specific hair, right? Long hair or something.
Which, I mean, at that point, I'd say then fire and recast, because you can't have Sabrina being allergic to cats. Just end of discussion.
Yeah.
It's an important part of the role, right? It just is. Deal with it. Move on. Besides, it's not like she was always holding the cat. Sometimes the cat was, 10 feet away. It's fine.
That's true. Just change the cat to a dog and was problem solved.
No. You can't be doing that.
Why not? Who cares?
You can't be doing that. So I feel pretty optimistic. I had fun with it. It's very pulpy. It's funny because as much as it's different from Riverdale, there's definitely some similar feelings to Riverdale, and except where with Riverdale, instead of being pulpy, which it was kind of pulpy, it was more like, oh, this is kind of fun and trashy, whereas this is more fun and pulpy. This is not verging into trashy.
It's not. No.
Which is good. It feels a bit higher class than because Riverdale ultimately we both dropped because it did just keep getting trashier to the point where it wasn't that funny anymore.
Yeah, it's the sort of trash that I feel like I could enjoy while drunk in the summer one evening. But I mean, I haven't got time for that.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas this feels like it may actually have more merit to it going forward. Especially, it's funny that this launched just after the Charmed reboot, whereas I feel like this is actually kind of nailing some of... Not what Charmed originally felt like, because they're different shows, and Charmed was never even that great, but...
No, the Charmed reboot is probably more along the lines of what we could have expected had this ended up on the CW.
Which is where the Charmed reboot's on, so...
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, that makes sense. Whereas this feels like it's just going for something a little bit more higher class, a little bit different, a little bit more serious, I guess. But without sacrificing its pulpiness that it wants to shoot for.
Yeah.
So...
I do hope it tightens up on the dialogue a little. There's a lot. I mean, this could be just a first episode problem. A lot of clunky exposition, I felt.
Yeah, that's kind of a traditional first episode thing, so hopefully that's not.
It is. But we always mention it, so I thought it's only fair. But I'm not going to hold it against it unless it's okay. If I'm still getting that in episode 3 or 4, then it's a problem.
Yeah. I will say, like, it felt like a full episode, but I will say when it ended, it did feel kind of suddenly, oh, here's like a cliffhanger for episode 2, as opposed to it feeling like it rounded out a complete arc of the episode. And it's one of the things that we like to talk about with Netflix shows specifically, and other streaming services where they put them out all in one chunk, is does each chapter feel like a full chapter where you feel like you got a full meal, where you want to come back for the next one, but it's not like they've just chopped up a full movie.
Yeah, and especially for us, because obviously we watch these and then talk, we can't go straight on to the next one because that ruins any discussion. So we typically only end up watching one at a time, one a day usually.
Yes. So it's kind of this thing where I don't necessarily feel that this one was a full, well-rounded meal on its own, but I also didn't feel that the pacing was... Because typically one of the problems that goes along with this is the pacing's much slower, and it feels like you didn't get as much in it. Whereas I still feel like I got a lot in this. I still felt there was a lot of stuff going on. I learned a lot about the characters, set up a lot of plot going forward. It still felt like they had enough to justify a whole episode. It just didn't have the full arc.
The pacing of the ending, almost. It didn't really build up to it. It was just like, okay, we realized we're hitting an hour now. We should probably call it time.
Pretty much, yeah. So, and maybe it's because the first 2 end up feeling like a double pilot.
Wouldn't be the first time, would it?
It wouldn't. No. So we'll see how that goes. But I think we'll give the spoiler warning. Full spoilers now for the first episode of Chilling Tales of Sabrina. And yeah, what would I about Salem? I like the whole thing where they're talking about getting a familiar. And Zelda's who's kind of the strict aunt who really believes in Satan and the Dark Lord, and she's expected to sign her book on the night of the blood moon.
I'll be honest, they keep saying the Dark Lord, and in my head I'm thinking Voldemort. I can't help it.
I don't have that problem. I will counter by saying Sabrina exists before Harry Potter did, so suck it.
Yeah, but one's better.
I agree, one is better.
We'll just leave it at that.
So she's not really happy with just picking one out of a book, so she does a sort of call to invite because it's like, what did they say? It was like goblins who willingly give themselves up as familiars to protect the witches.
Yeah.
Because in the original show, Salem was like a warlock who had broken the law, and this was his punishment: is that he was going to be a cat. So he became Sabrina's familiar. And again, I've not seen it in a long time. I'm just kind of vaguely from what I remember. But so we see this this shadowy, goblin-y, demon-y thing behind her door, and you hear it say something to her, And then, it goes away, and then you just see the cat, come out from behind the door. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So the cat's not really talking as a cat so much, right? And I wasn't really expecting that. Not really.
No.
But
I think it would be tonally jarring if it started talking.
But they've established kind of this voice that we can hear maybe when
Every so often.
the cat's either off screen, or maybe she'll hear it in her head, maybe.
I think the off-screen one's more likely.
Yeah.
It seems to be when the cat's hidden, it can shift back to its natural form.
I will say that the one disappointment with this is that Salem in the original show had a bit of an attitude, and I think I will miss Salem having a bit of a, pardon the pun, catty disposition.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll miss that a little bit.
I'm with you.
And he loved to eat. That was another thing. He loved to.
Who doesn't?
There's a famous gif of him eating pancakes, and it's just adorable because he's Salem. Also, when I was just about to watch this, I just put out a tweet saying, I'm going to start Sabrina, I hope it's good. And I was looking for an old Sabrina gif just to put out as a joke, right? And I'd never seen this episode, but I got a gif of Salem in the old show slapping Sabrina across the face, and it was hilarious.
I've seen that gif.
Yeah. I was like, why have I not seen this episode? But,
It's a great gif.
I hope we get a repeat of that scene. I want the cat paw just to come up.
Wouldn't hold your breath.
It's the way it's filmed more than anything. Because technically my cats have slapped me many a time, but it's more of a pawing to the face, it's more of a...
Yeah, it's not the side.
Yes, but it's just adorable all the same. Anyway, so... But of course, later on, when she's been chased through the field, and she's trying to get to the tree because her cousin gave her this idea of seeking help and knowledge for a decision to whether or not she wants to actually, sign her name in the book and go through with the ritual. And she's going through, and then the scarecrow comes to life and starts chasing her through all the maze.
Yeah, I thought the CG on the scarecrow was a little iffy. It managed to hide it by just having it move quick enough.
Yeah, I thought it overall was a fun sequence.
I like the sequence a lot. When it just grabs her from behind as the introduction to it.
It was a cool visual. But it had a unique look to it, and it was when it was crawling on all fours. I thought it looked quite.
Do you know what I think it was? I think it's the fact that obviously it's a scarecrow. It's just straw. It doesn't have bones.
Yeah.
Right. There's no and they kind of played with it. It would kind of look floppy.
Yeah.
As it was running, and it's something that usually I think wouldn't be considered.
Yeah. I like that. I like playing with that, though. If they're going to be that inventive with everything else they throw at us.
No, I like it a lot in concept as well.
Yeah, that's cool. But it's actually, we see what, the goblin version of Salem kind of swipe out and tackle the...
Yeah, it just kind of comes off screen and flies across it.
Because the idea is that she protects him and Salem protects her, and she sort of steps back and looks around, and the cat's just there kind of licking himself. Yep.
It's I got this.
Yeah. So okay, right. So we're setting up the rules. We're setting up what their relationship is like, and at some point she's going to have to protect him in some capacity. And it's this mutual thing. I'm like, okay, all right. We're setting this up. I like that for growth reasons. And she goes and gets the apple off the tree, and she bites the apple, and she asks a question. But then she sees this nightmare world, and we see this demonic. What would you even call it?
Kind of Minotaur-esque.
Yeah. It's got the horns. It's got the thing going, but very very demonic looking. Stepping out of a door and coming towards, and it's like an apocalypse. And then of course she comes out of it. But
there's beautiful colours, although the orange glow.
It looked really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if this is not a reason to not sign the Book of the Dark Lord, I don't know what is.
Yeah. I think it's good. She should take some convincing to actually sign it now.
Yes, because it's worth mentioning as well. The Scarecrow was what's her name? I don't want to call her Gomez all the time.
Ward something? Wardell?
Wardell.
I was close.
So yeah, so it's actually her with some voodoo. She's got a little Scarecrow doll in her office, and she's
a little marionette thing.
She's chasing Sabrina with that, and then she's pissed it doesn't work. And she's got a crow that's her familiar who's been feeding her information.
Yep.
Throughout the episode.
So we've got a crow, a cat, and spiders.
And a dog. I think it's
the dog,
Zelda or Hilda, whatever one of them. They've got a dog.
I think Hilda. Hilda's the nice one, right?
That was a nice one from the UK office.
Yes. I think hers is the dog.
Yes. We also set up just briefly that there's a witch murderer in town because we get a body in and they realise it's a witch because they've got a witch mark. And I'm like, okay, all right. So we're setting up another villain, and then we've set up that this person, that this Wardell, whoever she really is is after Sabrina and enforcing, because we get this sense that a lot of people hate her father for marrying a human, for marrying a mortal.
Yeah, they make a point of saying, no, that's against the rules.
Yeah, and the three bullies, the trio, show up to Sabrina and curse her and call her a mongrel or something to that effect. And
the Weird Sisters, I believe they were.
The Weird Sisters, that's right, yeah. And they curse her. And I like how they treat some of this stuff, where Hilda's just kind of like, oh, that is a blood curse. Yeah, okay, so you need some salt baths over the next 3 weeks, and that should sort it. As if it's like a normal... Yeah, that's just how you deal with it. It's fine.
Yeah, because Sabrina, like, she's a bit worried at first, goes and does the thing to wash it off. And it's like a ritual to clear it. And she comes into it, it's like, oh, yeah, they cursed me. I washed it off. It's cool. Yeah. She's like, well, let me check.
Which is one of the things I liked how they revealed that she already knows about her powers and that she knows she's a witch already. Because in the past version, she's only just found out at 16 that she's a witch. That's part of the whole thing. Whereas here, we don't know that at first. She's with her friend, she's with Harvey, they have that sweet scene in the porch, and then she comes in and she just immediately like flicks her finger and music starts playing. It's like, oh, she knows. She's in this. This is part of who she is already. So I was like, okay, right. They told us that in a really succinct way.
No, it's nice. I mean, it's out the gate running for that sense.
Yeah. So we've dealt with the threats. Obviously, she uses her powers to make sure the principal's not there when they pitched their class club. Yeah. Because he'll turn it down. Because when she tells her about what happened to her friend, he just says, well, maybe she should just move school. That's his response, rather than help or reprimand anyone. It's just no, maybe she should just move school.
Yeah.
So so it's played with a bunch of things, and the school stuff probably is the weakest. I think I would agree with that, but it's not actively bad. I'm not feeling it compared to like I'm into the horror and the witch stuff. And this, every time it cuts back to the school stuff, I kind of go, okay, I'll get through this. I like how the school looks, though, bizarrely. I know it's all dressed for Halloween, but...
Okay, I know what you mean.
But it's got like a sort of grungy look to it that kind of fits the tone of the show.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. And at least with the school, we get some more of Wardell occasionally, being up to no good.
It's true, I do like Gomez.
Which is worth mentioning, I do think her accent was slipping a wee bit here or there.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, she's supposed to have an American accent in this, and she's really Scottish, and I could kind of hear it bleeding through.
The only way I can justify this in my head is that she's not really Wardell, right? She's just impersonating.
The original person is Scottish, and she's doing an American accent.
Yeah.
Because that's what Wardell was, okay.
Why not?
All right. Of course, it was the original Wardell getting stabbed in the neck. That was the violent moment I was referring to earlier on.
Yeah, it was not bad.
So we'll take that here or there. I can
gladly.
So we should talk about the ending. The cliffhanger is that we get Faustus Blackwood, who is the representative of the Dark Lord on Earth. Yeah,
I think I can't remember the title now, but the same job her dad had, basically.
The headmaster of the school.
Yeah.
He shows up and he's basically there to convince her to make the right choice. And he's very intimidating. He's got the cane. It's all the way it's lit. It's all very, and every time Sabrina says something that might be considered like rude or inappropriate, like Zelda's like, she knows not what she says, Master.
I bet he's delightful.
Yeah. So now I'm curious to see where they go with this and how she kind of like fights against this. And I can see what they're going to do here with the themes. If they're going with these social issues, I can see what they're going to do here with her being expected to be a witch, to be expected to give up things just because that's tradition and not because that's what she actually wants. I can see how they're going to tie it into the themes of the rest of the show. It makes a lot of sense to me. I can see why they're doing that. And that's fine. That's cool.
That's all fine, just as long as it's handled well enough.
Yeah.
And no indication so far on whether or not it will be. Obviously, it's way too early to call on that.
Yeah, I mean, the early reviews, from what I've said, is that it does feel a bit clunky here or there, but gets better as it goes and leaves it in a promising place for season 2. So,
because I've definitely felt a little bit of clunkiness in this episode, but again, as a first episode, I kind of expect that on most shows.
Yeah, I mean, if we have some growing pains for the first half or so of the season, then
Yeah. I mean, it's something worth remembering that a lot of the best shows ever. The first season, it's not the best.
Yeah, there's a lot in here though that I'm pretty optimistic about. Though I like the overall tone and look of the show outside of the
fisheye,
the focus fisheye stuff that was a bit weird. But the overall set design, the look of the house, the look of the characters, the kind of pulpiness, like the classical horror mixed with the pulpy of the 50s, but all that stuff I
feel
really
like
like.
there's going to be a lot of horror movie references. Like they're going to play on some of the tropes.
I can see that happening, especially like if we get a zombie episode or we get a werewolf episode or
Even this, just like in the maze, like felt like okay, I get what they're going for here.
yeah,
So
I
I'm
can see that happening.
expecting a fair bit of that, and I'm okay with that.
I hope Cthulhu is hinted at.
Let's just do it. I mean, yeah, why not?
Well, it was in the comic. That's why I'm not even.
No,
just,
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Let's just do it already.
Yeah, I'm not just pulling it out of my ass. He was in the comic, therefore I'm hoping for some Cthulhu.
That's season
hints.
3 at least, sure.
Yeah, just hint it by the end of the season.
Yeah, okay.
Or unless is that what they mean by the Dark Lord?
No, Dark Lord Satan.
Did they specifically mention that at some
Yeah,
point?
yeah,
Okay.
they outright
fair
said
enough.
Satan.
Fair enough.
Because I was questioning it at first. I was like, "Oh, who's the Dark Lord?" And then they mentioned Satan at one point. I was like, "Okay, whatever. That's boring."
All right. Unless Satan just does Cthulhu.
I mean, sure, but then why not have both?
Okay, sure. No, but the horror imagery is really good so far. I'm actually really glad this is not on CW because it would not be like this if it was.
Oh no, it would be so toned down and neutered and probably much more boring.
Most of the things I like about this the most would be worse on CW.
Yeah, and all the things that I was not as keen on with the school would be
more of it.
Rather than this is it's maybe 35% school in this episode, or school related stuff.
Yeah.
It would probably be more like 65-70% school related stuff on the CW.
Yeah, it would be. So yeah, we'll see. And she does. I mean, obviously, we didn't even mention the scene where she tells Harvey she's a witch, and then it doesn't go very well, so she erases his mind.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not going to stick. That's going to come back up at some point, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, you're a witch."
Going to start noticing things, and obviously, they bring up they reference witch trials, or witch hunts, and both. They reference both, and
yeah, I thought that was a really cheesy line. When she's going to the principal, it's like, "Oh, drag all the footballers in." He's like, "Oh, you want me to do a witch hunt?" She's like, "Oh, I don't like that word."
Yeah,
right,
yeah, that was a bit on the nose.
It's just a saying. It's a word. It doesn't mean the same thing exactly now.
I did like though when she said the cat's name was Salem, and they're like, "Why did you name it Salem?" I didn't. He picked that name.
Yeah.
Because why would witches want to name their cat Salem unless they've got a good sense of irony? Which
No, I think my favorite stuff at the moment is probably all the stuff with the aunts and the cousin. Just
okay.
the house setting. I do like all that stuff in there.
So no, I'm feeling pretty positive. I'm looking forward to seeing where we go from here. We will be back with episode 2, most likely late Sunday, early Monday. We'll try and go through as quick as we can. We are juggling Castlevania as well, which came back the same day, and obviously a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, weekends are always busy.
But once we get to that, we're hopefully going to have one every other day, is the hope, barring delays. But so it should take a couple of weeks to get through. But yeah, so let us know what you thought of episode 1 of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I was going to say Chilling Tales of Sabrina because that sounds right as well. But Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
I would have said Tales if you'd asked me then. Because when you paused, I was going to go Tales.
No, it's because even the comic, because the comic's Chilling Adventures, but I would have assumed Tales as well.
Where are we getting Tales from?
Lots of other horror things that use the word Tales.
Could be. I wonder if this is one of those times where we've been calling it Tales at some point to each other, and that's just stuck in our minds.
Maybe, yeah, that's possible.
I don't know.
Hey ho. That is Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, episode 1. Let us know what you thought of it in the comments. Like, subscribe. If you want to support the channel and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You can do that over there. But otherwise, that is us. And obviously, if you didn't check out Haunting of Hill House, do that as well. Connor was on vacation, so I did that one on my own, but I did review the entire season. All 10 episodes of that are up. So you can go and have a look at that.
Apparently, it's very good.
It is very good. Connor needs to catch up. He's got.
Do you know what? I've even got people at work going to me, "Have you seen Haunted Hill House yet?" I'm like, No, I haven't. It happened when I was away.
It's the one big Netflix show in the last 2 years you've not watched.
Do you know what? It is actually, and it's the first one that people at work are going to me. "Oh, have you seen this?" And I'm like, because usually I'm the one going, "Oh, has anyone seen this one?" Yeah, because I watch enough to be on the curve usually.
Yes.
And this one, I'm just like, no, people are going on about it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll get there.
That's pretty funny, Amy.
dick.
All right, that is us. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. If you are listening to this on the audio feed, on the Netflix reviews audio feed, there is other audio feeds as well as the general almost cancelled one. There's some other stuff. I mentioned Patreon there. Go to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. There's a list of all the different shows and feeds if you want to find other audio feeds. If you're interested in any of the other content we do, of which there is a wide variety. But anyway, that is us. So thank you once again. We'll see you guys next time. Keep watching scary TV. Have you got any vanilla?